Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality. Welcome to Cymatic TV. My name's Tom Lawless, energy healer and stuff like that. And with me is Tanya Lawton, my
trusted colleague, assistant, and something else.
Pilot, and I'm co-pilot. She seems to know more of what's going on at the moment than I do. So,
I don't think that's the case at all.
yeah, we wrote books, we're writing books and stuff like that, and so we're just exploring all the avenues that we've been writing in our books. The one out at the moment is called The Event. It's part of the Quantum Element series, and we're going to talk about something that comes out mainly, got to be said, in the next book after The Event.
Into the next book a little bit more.
The next book, which is called Waves of Reality.
Yeah. It just takes the energy story into a little bit more depth, a little bit more detail.
A little bit further, yeah.
Beyond the event. So, yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you that question because we were talking about energy, and we're constantly learning. And, one of the questions that came up was what's the thing that you've got out of the last 2 to 3 years of learning?
Well, about energy. I mean, I've learned huge amounts over the last 2 years in all mechanical aspects of energy and spiritual aspects of energy, but just as an overriding sort of fundamental basics of energy. What have I learned? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, there is certain aspects that speak to people more than others, and I was wondering the sort of thing that was speaking to you more than which are points that you kind of think, I learned a lot about the aspects of energy.
It just makes it so massive. That does.
The list is.
Yeah, my mind goes into complete overdrive. But one of the most poignant things that stands out is there being no right and wrong. As always in your impression, whatever you like to call it, energy code or anything, there's some kind of judgment and there's some kind of right or wrong. But I think what I've learned is there is no right or wrong. That energy creates and energy destroys, and it doesn't sit there having necessarily a reason, but there is always a reason for that.
Right.
Destruction creates space for something new. So for me, that fundamental concept of if something's been destroyed, a forest is burnt down. Everyone might think that's and I'm not condoning Amazon rainforest being cut down or anything like that. But if nature were in charge to burn a section of forest down, there's probably a good reason for it. And and new growth can come from that. So not only with nature, but in your own life, if a relationship gets destroyed, for example, then it's creating space for something new to come in. And often destruction is very important, paramount importance to create that space. Otherwise you could end up being stuck. There would be no progress. So really, it's embracing that destruction being an opportunity for creation. So I think that's been and you can apply that to everything in life. So I think that's been really powerful. To wherever you do feel like you're getting stuck or you can't move on. Knowing that actually that a little bit of destruction kind of.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Have you been able to apply it in your life? How do you, are you confronted with? Do you find yourself being easier on people, or do you understand certain aspects of human being easier? Have you got?
I think I can. I think
I
especially with clients, I think that it has given me a different perspective and an understanding to be able to pass that understanding on to people into their everyday lives. It is extremely helpful to know that if things appear really, really bad at any one point in time, there is always energy will provide something positive to come from it. So whatever blackness you feel you're in at any particular point, there are going to be new shoots because you've created space for something new to come in. So as far as helping people, definitely. And just even in our journey of writing the books together, my career, my path that I was on before, it is. I'm not saying it's destroyed, otherwise I'd have to probably punch you. But it's not. It's created space to create books. It's created space to do other things and explore other things. So there's no bad about that. It's just created something different. So I would say that it makes you look at life differently, because there's always positive. You can always spin things to positive. However black things may appear, it's not bad or good or right or wrong or totally destroyed, because inevitably with destruction you're going to have something to be created from it. Something good come from it.
Yeah, I guess.
So I guess that's been like the overarching positive about understanding. I mean, you've talked about wars and and learning and all of that kind of things as well. As far as the right or wrong or good or bad, that we have to go through bad to know that there's to learn good from it. So you've kind of
you can't just live one side, surely.
No,
you've got to live both sides of the story. Otherwise, you won't know the story.
No, and you don't learn. If you don't see the bad, then how do you know what is good?
So you've done lots of bad stuff in the past. So
I'm not saying anything on camera. Nothing's coming past your lips. I've forgiven myself for anything gone past. But no, I just feel now very positive about or reevaluating things. Because when you look back and review, you can see points in your life where maybe things did look less rosy, and then you can see how that has had created space for something different or new. And and as I said before, in a forest you get something, or a tree comes down, and then you've got room for a new sapling to take its place, and that will...
so that just provides like the humus for the new sapling to grow. Did I just say hummus? There's like chickpeas and a bit of stuff like that. So we did. I've got to say, because you're going to notice a cut in the video. We did have someone phone up during the video, so we tried to take it on again seamlessly,
but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So this is the second take of this video. We're not taking it all again, but we're just continuing on where we started. So basically, I was saying there's going to be new hummus for
things to grow on.
Things to grow on. Exactly.
Yeah, and understanding that whole cycle of, and we've been writing other books, the Astro Flowers, and we've been talking about the elements of the earth, fire, and you've explained about the cycle of things as well as within the elemental terms. So I think that's been, is really important. What feeds on what, and how wood provides the fire and the water, and understanding how all that, the mechanics of all that works as well.
Yeah, it's a perpetual flow in between the it's like the yin and the yang. You've got to accept that the good and the bad it's got to be in harmony. That's what I said to people. It's like in order to get a real life electricity life going on, you need the plus and the minus of the battery. You can't have the plus that is, because people tend to positive
try to make their lives
much more positive. Size. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know.
Yeah, sort of like just to make it really positive, but they actually create a lot of negative around them.
Well, you can't maintain
because it's
positive all the time.
That's the other question I was going to ask. When you're positive like that, and you understand that negative or destruction and bad things do happen in life, not necessarily intentionally, could be just via accidents. Do you feel it sort of? Do you feel that wave of positiveness coming to an end? Like a surfer who's finished his wave, he's going to go and catch another wave, and he's got to go through that hard waves, getting out to the wave, ducking through waves. Do you feel that in your life? Does it get to a stage where you're kind of going, I enjoyed surfing that wave or that positive bit of life?
I think everything has cycles, doesn't it? I think, or rhythms. As again, that's another topic. But yeah, I think you can recognise more when you're coming out, but you can address it in a different way. You don't feel like, you're not going into a big slump. You can just recognise that there is a kind of an ebb and flow, and you can address maybe a less positive time in a different way. So it doesn't feel as negative, but you've kind of got a bit of a heads up on it.
I take the negative time as a bit of me time.
So
things. Yeah, exactly. Things aren't working well. It's a bit of sand in the mechanics, and it's all grinding a bit. And so I just sort of take my foot off the accelerator and kind of go, just let it. Yeah, exactly. Let it coast, and I observe what's going on around me and just get back into being, finding me again. And then when it all picks up again, that's when you can pick up on the positives. So then you don't engage with the bad side of life, you know, and stuff like that. I wanted to get onto one thing though, that is, you know, a stark thing. It's, you know, surely someone who does something bad that we would, as humans, we would consider morally bad.
Like Hitler or somebody like that.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
What is there? Was there a reason for him to?
Yeah,
was
exactly.
There a reason
you know,
for that,
you know,
for us to learn from.
You know, it could even be on a smaller scale. It could be, you know, someone. You know, if you take a bad thing, say like someone, you know, molesting a child or something like that, which, you know, 99.9% of the people would consider that a bad thing. You know, can you have you got that ability to detach yourself totally from that?
Well, other than knowing that beyond that thing had to happen to I mean, depends on which terms you look at it, but beyond that person would have learned or the well, I don't know. You explain that how that.
Well, for me, it's you know what I mean. So like,
it can't seem a good in any possible way. That's a very difficult one to throw at me. Thank you, Tom.
That's all right.
Okay, but it's you know, we can't in this point, you know, in this moment, see that in any positive kind of light. But no. I know you will explain it. You're gonna find a positive in it. Go on.
No, I know. I have that. I have that ability to sort of look at it in spheric sense. But no, it is morally incorrect, as it were, to, you know, to do that sort of thing. But it's that whole aspect of learning both sides of the story, you know, and not everybody can learn it at the same time. We can't all be molested, because then there wouldn't be any people doing the molesting. No. To be all molested. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think it's coming to a crescendo, because we see a lot now, you know, especially with J.E. Yeah, exactly, Epstein and company and Maxwell and all of that malarkey. You know, I think it's coming to a crescendo where we're going to get to a common understanding, kind of going, this is not a
good thing.
Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore, and it will just, it's like.
And do you think that can just stop when we have learned?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, I think it will just die out. You know, a bit like racism. You know what I mean? You know, as we go forward, you know, the majority of people, you know, I can't give you the percentage, but I would say, you know, a good 90-odd% of people realise that racism is not. You know, it's a waste of time.
Yes, not productive in any way.
It's not productive for anybody, yeah. No. And and I it's like when I grew up in London. So I grew up and there was I seemed to have a school. It was so mixed cultured that, you know, I was, you know, you'd be, you know, your best mate could be a Pakistani and your other mate could be a Chinese and another one could be Spanish, and do you know what I mean? There was no real sort of you know,
majority.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was obviously a majority, but you know, in my mind, because it was during the 70s, we had all that white riot, you know, against race and everything. Right. We had that BLM situation in the UK during the 70s, and I thought, you know what I mean? Well, eventually we're all going to be the same colour, because we're interrelated, we're intermixing,
yeah.
And eventually we're all going to be the same colour. And the funny thing is that it, you know, if you look at lions in a safari park in Africa, they've got these lions, and they've always been yellow lions, yeah, and they've had the same family of lions for the last 20 years. They've not introduced other lions, but all of a sudden they're giving birth to white lions.
Right.
And they're now starting to realise that actually it's part of a gene that's dormant and eventually will come to the surface.
Right, okay.
So, you know what I mean? So you might have two Caucasian people who would give birth to, you know, an Asian person. You know what I mean? And you'll get that sort of thing. So I think, you know, it just generally just dies out. You know, it's no longer necessary. We've learned that and we've got past that. And it's all part of the evolutionary process, you know. And there is we are coming to a point now where it's kind of going, we should know that by now. You know that inside you that you shouldn't be doing this, and and I think that's coming to a head now, personally. So the good and the bad is moving on from what we did, So I think it will be a non-existent sort of thing in the future.
But that's again part of the whole learning and relates into the Akashic Library. The Akashic Library, which we talked about in another video, isn't it? Because all those experiences are getting logged, and collectively we've learned a hell of a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're going to get there. But it's the sticking glue of all of this good and bad. The best thing about energy is that energy doesn't look at things in the way good and bad. Energy looks at things of what creation do we need to explore. We need to explore that. Therefore, we need to destroy that in order to create that. So it doesn't look of, we need to destroy this solar system in order to create a bigger solar system so we can explore the idea of bigger things. You know what I mean? That's just taking an idea.
Yeah.
So, and that's the good thing about energy. It has this reason for being, and there's no wavering, there's no negotiating with energy. It's really not.
But where does it extend to? I mean, you just put that thought into my head. A solar system, a universe, a galaxy, whatever. How far does energy? Where does it stop, or is it?
It doesn't stop.
It's just infinite through all
existence.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the big question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's well, it does for me. What on my perception? I don't know. I can't perceive anywhere to not exist without energy. I can perceive things to exist without material.
Okay.
So it just exists in an energetic form. But then that's ghosts and stuff like that, or spirits that we see and stuff like that. Which
do you think? That just makes me want to ask the question. Then do you think there will ever be a point where we do not have
a physical body,
physical world, and
we go into that in the event, and that's all to do with pan. So you get some spirits that are not actually being incarnated upon Earth, but they're dealing with the reincarnation system because they've been through. Because they've been through the whole process.
Systems,
exactly.
Cycles,
and they don't need to experience the material world anymore.
As they're kind of just taking care of things up there.
Yeah, exactly. They need to experience that side of it.
But they're still part of energy. They're still
and they're all still part of the human evolution system. You know what I mean?
So that's the question: is do spirits in that situation that have had all those experiences? Did they remember everything from? There's not a question of coming to Earth and not remembering stuff. Did they just remember all time? I'm just throwing this one out here.
Yeah, no, I think when we've arrived at a certain level of consciousness, you will be able to remember all the past lives. If you remembered all the past lives you had, just think of the speed in which we can advance in technological advancements, in ecological advancements, in everything, in social advancements. It would just go so quickly.
So that's why we can't remember when we come down.
This is the problem. Because there'd be it wouldn't be any point. There would be no point. And that energy that's the only thing with energy. It has to have a point. Even if it's a point of interaction with another physical body.
Our existence here is for a reason.
Yeah. Which we will be discussing at another point in another video, if you can bear with us. But, I think this video's gone on a long time, so I think we'll bring it to a close.
Yeah.
As per usual, thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
It's
Tom.
always a pleasure sitting down and chatting with you. We've found our conversation tree for the time being. We're going to find another one.
We'll find lots more trees to sit under and
mull over the world.
These topics.
But so, subscribe.
Like the video.
Yes.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. Yeah.
You never remember it all in the same order each time. Is energy got anything to do with this? The order of things.
We'll go into energy on them because we're going to go into the human energies, chakras and stuff like that. You will see it. Go to our channel or go to Cymatic.
We'll leave the links below of where to go.
If you want to come on any workshops we do, any retreats we do, stuff like that. Don't forget, you can buy the books as well. You can look at the links below and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? We are here because you are here. You are here because we are here. We're here together under one sky. Okay?
Ciao for now.
Ciao.
Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality.